Still here in Manchester. I've gotten up this morning, and by this morning I mean it's about almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've walked all the way from the Midland Hotel down to the Cathedral. Now, for those in Manchester, you know how far that is. In search of a full English breakfast. I gobbled it up. I didn't think to film it, record it for you. But generally the breakfast is only served until noon, like most places. I found this place, the Crown and Anchor. Now, whenever I go to Las Vegas, I always go to the Crown and Anchor in Las Vegas. I don't think they're affiliated. This is probably the real one. And there's nothing I love more than a nice English tea. A lot of people criticized me about my last tea, and I forgot to put the pinky out. Is that better? This is not meatloaf. This is sticky toffee pudding and cream. Probably my favorite thing in the entire world, next to an English breakfast. I think maybe if I had my choice, I would do just a food blog. And let's try this out. This is about the most proper looking sticky toffee pudding I've been served in a long time. Oh my Lord. This is proper. Wow. We went to a steakhouse called Hawksmoor over in Manchester Central. Had some very nice steaks, and at the end we had a sticky toffee pudding sundae. By the way, Rachel, my wife, decided to stay in bed. She is wore out from this weather. Here's the thing, it rains like all the time. I understand now why my Rolls Royce comes with umbrellas in the doors. It's a necessity. It rains all the time. If it's not raining, it had just rained, and it's wet, or it's about to rain. So if you're gonna come to this area, if you're gonna come to Manchester, make sure to bring some waterproof clothing, something lightweight with a hood, that you can put over your heavier weight coat, or bring a heavyweight coat that has a hood. You'll see people walking around in like full parkas with big furry hoods. There's a reason. It's gonna be cold, and it's gonna be wet. I guarantee it. Really enjoyed myself. The Crown and Anchor. Nice, proper, full breakfast in the middle of the day. This is pretty much how it is. Manchester, kind of all the time. It's kind of always raining, miserable, and this is what you're gonna find. Don't bother bringing sunglasses. You're not gonna need them. Matter of fact, I've been having trouble just wearing my regular glasses that I normally wear because they get wet. So if you can't handle like rain, this is not the place for you. Also, a lot of the roads are like these cobblestones. Some of these pathways and whatnot are 1,000 years old. A lot of the things that you're going to find here are very old. Speaking of which, this is Manchester Cathedral. Let's see if it mentions when they built this place. I don't think it says. The architecture that you're going to find, if you're somebody like me who is into Gothic, all things Gothic, architecture and whatnot, stuff like this is amazing. Look at this cathedral. It's absolutely fantastic. Let's go check it out. This is amazing. You don't have to be a religious person to appreciate this place. fantastic. Wow. They're having an event or something here today, so the access is limited. Let's see if we can't take a peek in. We made it inside. They're cool with you taking photos and video as long as you're respectful. And they asked for a donation. They want $1 donation. I gave them, or a pound rather, I gave them 5. Worth it. So worth it. Let me get a couple of beauty shots for you. Wow. Have you ever seen work like that? I don't think you have. I don't know if anything is. I mean, you'd have to 3D print something like that. But the craftsmanship of the things in here, all the way down to just the smallest details. Fantastic. Unbelievable. The craftsmanship in here. Walking around Manchester, it's not uncommon to come across things like this that are dated in the 1600s. This place, not just this cathedral, but this whole town has been around for a long, long time. It's hard not to be humbled when you walk around these places. Manchester goes back like 2,000 years, literally, to Roman forts. As mentioned in the previous video with John the cabbie, Chester basically means that it was a Roman fort. So whenever you have a British town called whatever Chester, that's because it was originally a Roman fortress. So there's things around this town, the city, that have been here for almost 2,000 years, 1,000 years, 500 years. There's so many of these buildings that you go into, and they're 400 or 500 years old. And you're walking in places where people walked, great people. So there's great respect here in the city. You'll also see this bee logo everywhere. That's the worker bee, because of the industrialization that happened here. It's hard not to have pride in a place that had so many firsts. Yeah, first computer with RAM, first split atom, first railway station, the birth of Rolls-Royce. So many great things. But there was a downside, after the cotton industry started to fail, the 60s, 70s, things started getting a little rough around here. But it's having its resurgence. And now's the time to come see Manchester. A lot of people who left this town in the 60s and 70s, and then they come back and it's all clean. They remember all of the buildings being black. That's what our tour guide was telling us. Because of the industrialization, the soot, everything was just covered in soot. And all the buildings were black. So they went through like a 20-year period of just sandblasting and cleaning all the buildings to get them to be clean again. Get rid of all the soot. It took them 20 years to clean the place. And that was an industry into itself. A lot of people, that was their job, just sandblasting a building. But it's nice and clean now because it is washed on a minute-to-minute basis from all the water they could ever want falling from the sky. And here we are, a little bit more modern tourist attractions. the Hard Rock Cafe, a bunch of other stuff. Most of the industrial buildings have been turned into private lofts, you know, or businesses, you know, housing. Buildings that used to be places of manufacture are now, well, much like where I live in Dallas, they've turned them into places to live. It's cool. It's a busy metropolitan city. Got all these double-decker buses, cabs everywhere. A lot of people don't have cars because it's pretty difficult where you're going to park it, where you're going to get the fuel, you know. So you'll see a lot of the black cabs. People take those a lot. That's what I've been doing. They do have Uber here, by the way. I have Uber. But I find it easier actually here to take the cab. And I actually prefer the cab. So a couple of cool tips for some travelers. Money. Don't go to the exchange thing and pay money for the exchange. Just go to the ATM machine, pull out what you need in pounds. I went to the machine at the airport and pulled out 500 pounds. Cost me 700 whatever American dollars, but it worked just fine. You're gonna find that you're gonna use your card for most stuff. Your credit card works the same here. Like I have the American Express Platinum card. I can use it everywhere, and it's just the same. So you don't use that much cash. However, you do want to have a little bit of cash for running around doing stuff. However, tipping isn't like a thing here. People don't do tipping, so you don't need to have a lot of tipping money like you do when you're in the States. You know, when you're running around in other cities, New York and stuff, that town runs on tipping. You got to tip everybody. Here's the downside about, pardon me, here's the downside about the no tipping society. No tipping also means no service, right? They don't come to your table and ask you if you need anything. They don't bring you refills. They charge you for every refill, by the way. And it's just harder to get good service because they're getting paid an hourly wage. There's no reason for them to turn over the table, right? What's the point? Why should they turn over the table? That means they got to work more. So that's another thing. They don't want to bring you the bill. I'm like, hey, can I get my check? It takes forever to get your check. You know, in the U.S., they want to give you the check immediately. They want you to pay. They want you to get the hell out so they can get another table in there so they can get paid again. The no tipping society is good for the worker, but not good for the customer. This is why I believe in the capitalist system. I do love it over here, but America, we got it figured out. I love those little cabs though. Aren't they cute? Here's another weird observation. Street signs. You know, in the United States, we're used to having street signs all over the place. Every corner would have a street sign. These are not street signs. They're just telling you kind of where stuff is in the city. They like to put the signs of the streets up on the buildings. And not always in the same place, not always in the same... It's like it was up to the building to just put up their own sign of where they were. You just kind of have to guess. It's crazy. Now, another important bit of advice as an American. Can't stress this enough. Look to your right. You think about this. Your whole life you've been wandering around the United States, and before you stepped off the street, you looked to the left to make sure nobody was coming. The cars come from the other direction. So you see those buses? There are buses, there are trams. Right where I'm standing, this little cross area, and you have train tracks for the tram. You have, you know, 1, 2, 3, you have all these different intersections here. And every vehicle is coming from the opposite direction that you would expect it to come from. So if you were going to get run over, this would be the place it would happen. So look both ways, but always look right. It's really important because there seems to be kind of a symbiosis of everybody just walking around, driving bicycles, scooters, buses, cabs, cars, skateboards, and nobody seems to run into each other. It's like watching bees going in and out of a nest. Right now it's not that bad because, you know, it's wet, but it gets really crowded. And other thing is, hey, you saw Oliver Twist. Keep your stuff zipped up. If you have a purse, make sure it's buckled, zipped. Make sure stuff's in your pockets. There are pickpockets, people looking for opportunities, so don't leave anything up to chance. But anyway, look right. Those big buzzes, they hurt.